This happened a couple of months ago. My husband and I live in Everett, Washington, just north of Seattle. It was probably about 8 p.m. when my husband decided to take the car and fuel it up at the closest gas station from our house. It's not abnormal, and I decided to stay home with our at the time 4-month-old. My husband had been gone quite a while and I started to get nervous, as I always do. Most women would think their man was cheating or something, but I'm always convinced he is dead or super hurt, but I couldn't call him because I saw that he had forgotten his phone at home. Well, eventually he comes home in a panic. He is always playing this macho nothing can hurt me kind of personality, but this time he was visibly shaken and horrified. That's when he explained what had happened. He pulled up to the gas station as they were closing the convenience store part of it and noticed a weird guy lingering around. Of course, thinking he is invincible, he chooses to pump his gas anyways because he doesn't feel like he should leave just because there is a creepy guy. And obviously creepy guy approaches him and was shaking and had his hand in his pocket. He starts off by mentioning that my husband must be doing well considering he is driving a Lexus. Then, he told my husband that he needed a ride to Forest Park, just up the road from the gas station because his car broke down and that he needed to get back to it because he is a pastor at a Korean church. My husband is skeptical, immediately given this guy's appearance and the fact that he was clearly Caucasian. So, my husband told him, "No. It's just up the road. Just walk." The guy kept pleading and my husband stood his ground. Creepy guy then asks if he can borrow my husband's phone to make a call. To which my husband told him that he forgot his phone at home, which was true. But the guy wouldn't believe him and challenged him by asking, "Then, what's in your left pocket?" My husband said, "My keys." Then he asked about his right pocket and my husband said, "My gun." The guy kind of laughed, not believing my husband. Mind you, my husband is 23 and Chinese, so he looked really young and vulnerable. The guy asked for a ride again and my husband said no once again as he was finishing up pumping his gas. The creepy guy went to the other side of the car and tried opening it up to get inside. My husband asked him what the hell he was doing and to back off. Then, the guy starts coming at my husband while holding onto something in his pocket. That is when my husband made the judgment to pull his gun out and aim it at the guy. The guy stopped immediately and threw his hands up in the air and backed up slowly while my husband told him to get away. The most chilling thing this man said was, "You're a very smart man." And he kept backing away slowly. My husband sped off with the gun still pointed the whole time. I am so thankful I stayed home with our daughter, and now I am extra paranoid when he is a little late. I am not entirely sure what the guy intended, if he wanted to rob my husband or steal the car. But he was clearly going through some drug withdrawals or on something, and his last statement just confirmed that he was up to no good. So creepy gas station guy, let's not meet.
Okay, so I had a very strange encounter last week that I cannot seem to stop thinking about. My name Russell and I live in a smallish town in Mississippi. I am 32 years old, married with one 8-year-old girl, and I am a supervisor at a factory that produces windshields for cars. So please excuse my grammatical errors, I am not an English teacher. 2 weeks ago I had went on vacation, and when I came back my boss said he would need me on graveyard shift the next couple of weeks, which wasn't that uncommon. I switched shifts a lot. Anyways, the other night there was a mix-up on scheduling, and after 3 hours of being there I got the extremely rare opportunity to be able to cut out early, so of course I took it. On my 20-minute drive home I realized I had forgot to get gas on my way to work earlier. So I drove to one of the 2 gas stations that are open 24/7. I stopped here very frequently and knew everyone that worked here just because of how often I was here, plus their chicken they served was absolutely amazing. As I pulled in I had my windows down and heard a high-pitched laugh, like a witch laugh nearly. It was very unsettling and made me feel anxious hearing something like that at 3 in the morning. I looked over to see where it was coming from and I seen the gas station clerk outside sitting laughing profusely, rocking in a ball. I got out of my truck to go in to pay for my gas and the man jumped up with a sinister, unnerving smile on his face. I had never seen this man before. He was nearly 6 feet, dark eyes, long solid black hair, and very pale. "Good morning," he nearly shouted at me in a very uncomforting yet energetic manner. "Morning, you must be new," I replied, chuckling and never breaking eye contact. He said you could say that his eyes darted around mine like he was analyzing my soul. As I walked up to this store that I have been in 1,000 times, he held the door open for me and entering the store made me very uneasy. "My name is Matthew," he said, walking around to the counter. Everything was eerie feeling. The lights were flickering like crazy. Also there was a smell of rotten meat in the air. "Just ignore the smell," he said, almost as if reading my mind. "I dropped a bag of out-of-date food and cannot get the smell out of here. I just need 30 on 2 and a pack of Marlboro's Reds." I replied, just wanting to get out of there. He rang me up, and as he handed me my pack of cigarettes his arm popped and I seen all the deep scars on his arm. "Some people just don't appreciate life, always trying to get to the other side as fast as they can," he said, smiling evilly at me. "What?" I asked in my state of confusion. "There's more ways of suicide than a gun or a knife." Offended and scared, I just walked outside to pump my gas and get out of there as fast as possible. I put the nozzle in my tank and looked and seen him still standing behind the counter with his head slightly tilted down. Even though his hair covered at his face, I could feel him staring a hole through me. I looked down at my phone for just a second and then back up, and startled I jumped back. Matthew was standing right in front of me. "Forgot your cigarettes," he smirked, handing them to me. I quickly finished pumping my gas and got in my truck. I started my engine and put my seatbelt on, and a loud thud hit my truck as Matthew's hand had slapped the hood. "Do not worry, Russell, I will be seeing you really soon." As I accelerated out of there, I heard him start laughing again. Chills ran across my skin. I was extremely freaked out. Especially of the fact he knew my name. When I made it home, I realized where he had put his hand on was a rusted, skinny handprint. A week went by and I tried to forget that weird experience until one morning around 8:30 in the morning I stopped by the gas station to get gas again, and the manager was there. I informed her that her new employee was weird, creepy, and offensive. She was confused. She said she never heard of Matthew and that their store stopped being open 24/7 nearly a month ago. I am really freaked out. I cannot stop thinking about him saying "I'll be seeing you soon" keeps echoing in my head. Along with that terrible laugh. I am really terrified, guys. A second and then back up, and startled I jumped back. Matthew was standing right in front of me. "Forgot your cigarettes," he smirked, handing them to me. I quickly finished pumping my gas and got in my truck. I started my engine and put my seatbelt on, and a loud thud hit my truck as Matthew's hand had slapped the hood. "Do not worry, Russell, I will be seeing you really soon." As I accelerated out of there, I heard him start laughing again. Chills ran across my skin. I was extremely freaked out. Especially of the fact he knew my name. When I made it home, I realized where he had put his hand on was a rusted, skinny handprint. A week went by and I tried to forget that weird experience until one morning around 8:30 in the morning I stopped by the gas station to get gas again, and the manager was there. I informed her that her new employee was weird, creepy, and offensive. She was confused. She said she never heard of Matthew and that their store stopped being open 24/7 nearly a month ago. I am really freaked out. I cannot stop thinking about him saying "I'll be seeing you soon" keeps echoing in my head. Along with that terrible laugh. I am really terrified, guys.
A little over a year ago, I had a job working overnight at a gas station close to my house. I'm a woman and was 31 at the time. I know, to some it seems unsafe for a woman to work graveyard shift by herself. However, it was a slow store and the sheriff's office was about 20 feet across from it. I really didn't think I would have that many problems. There would be about 30 customers in an 8-hour shift, and that was on a busier night. It was about 3:30 in the morning. I went outside to sweep the parking lot and last minute check the trash. It was time for a cigarette and I had one headphone and kinda jamming out. Across the road in the parking lot of the sheriff's office, I saw a figure with his back to me. He was swaying back and forth while looking down. Honestly, it looked like he was enjoying a much-needed piss. Against the sheriff's office though? Yeah, the building closed at 4 p.m. and didn't open again till 6 the next morning, but why? By the back of his ripped white shirt I remembered that he had come in about 4 hours earlier. He was a total creep and I could already tell he had a good buzz going. I didn't say anything. I just took my eyes off of him and tried not to draw attention to myself. It was working until a car pulled in. I was still outside as they pulled up. I saw him look at the car and then at me and back and forth again. As the customer was leaving I walked her outside. I still had half a smoke burnin' and had left my dustpan outside with a squeegee. We both heard him start to swear angrily and seemingly engage in an argument with himself. She looked across the road and told me to be careful. I made an awkward joke about him being the one who should be more afraid of me or something like that. The man was still there but closer to the road, now facing the parking lot of my store. Whatever he's yelling was completely unintelligible. He was obviously very drunk and can barely stand straight, still swaying away. I didn't engage him, but I didn't take my eyes off of him this time. I just slowly walked back into the store. Something about his face really bothered me. It had a darkness to it, but his eyes looked wild. My experience during graveyard jobs has been that the crazy-eyed ones are the worst ones. I didn't like it at all and wanted no part of it. I still had almost 3 hours to go and 2 before any other employees got there. Instantly I went to the computer and typed up a temporarily closed sign just in case he wanted trouble. I was coming around the counter on my way to the doors when I saw that he'd walked across the road to my side now. I literally, just barely got the second door locked when he stumbled into our very small parking lot. My hand mimed the hand signal for cut across my neck. Basically saying, "Nope, sorry you can't come in here. We're closed." I shook my head back and forth too, hoping to further discourage him. He started walking away but screamed something at me while he's walking. I don't mean he was grumpy and shouted at me or yelled that I was an asshole or anything. I mean like he was at an enraged volume and was violently throwing his hands everywhere. Definitely knowing I'm in the wrong shift of the wrong job, I got really skeeved out. I decided to call the cops. It's a good thing too, because the minute I hung up with them there he comes again up to the door. He starts pulling and banging on it. He backs up and runs into it trying to ram it, not that it would have done any good. I made the mistake of telling him that I had called the cops and his ass was about to be grass. I say I made the mistake of telling him because once I said that he took off. The police never found him. They drove around the road and surrounding neighborhoods for over an hour but found no one. He was on foot, so I don't get where he could have gone to. He didn't harm me, and with them not finding him I didn't fill out a police report or anything. I was safe behind thick glass doors that were locked for the rest of my shift. It just sucked. Maybe if I didn't warn him ahead of time I wouldn't have had to spend the last 3 months of my job constantly looking over my